Campbell.
Present.
Dr. Paul Amos.
Here.
Mr. Gould.
Here.
Mr. Hubbard. Ms. Jones. Here. Mrs. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Hughes.
Here. Next, we'll have approval of the agenda.
Invocation. Oh, it's not on there. Madam Chair, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Dr. Paul Amos.
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard. Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes. Now, if you'll please rise for the invocation and the pledge. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be with us this day in this assembly. We ask that you would touch our minds and our hearts. If there's anything that's going to prevent us from doing what it is that we've been charged to do, God, we ask that you would remove it right now. We ask that you would allow us to make the best decisions possible for this, the Danville Public School System, and all those who are a part of it. We ask that you would allow all the blessings onto all the people that come in contact with children and those even in front of or in the background, God. We ask that you would allow them to all have a blessed year. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, move that we approve the minutes as presented. Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Gould and seconded by Dr. Campbell that we approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Ms. Jones. Yes. Dr. Paul Amos.
Yes.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes. Next, we will have something really exciting for everyone. We'll have a presentation from Fire Marshal Shelby Irving.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Chief Irvin, Fire Marshal for the City of Danville, and I have here with me some of my firefighters, Captain Lincoln Will, and Josh Powell, and Stephanie Scares. And it's just a part of the crew that's been a part of this big project that we've been trying to do for years. I have one firefighter, Richard Thomas, who every year he approached about, let's do something with the schools, let's do something. Okay, somebody else is doing it. I'll get to it. I'll get around to it. So blame me. But Richard came to me and he really wanted to do this project, and everybody else on our committee got on board. And we want to raise supplies for the Danville City Public Schools. A lot of our guys are married to teachers or secretaries or somebody in the school. And we all know that they complain about, we buy a lot out of our own pocket. And my sister's a teacher, she says the same thing. So we want to do our part and be on board with schools this year and help supply supplies for those that are in need of paper, pencils, and pens. And you see we have a little bit right here. We had some partners to help us with this task. Walmart was a big part of it. Kmart, well, we were at Walmart 2 weeks ago on a Saturday morning. It was scalding hot. And we were at Kmart last Saturday morning, and we'll be back at Kmart again, raising more supplies. The Trophy and Science Center donated our banners. We have several banners to hang around. And they look nice. I won't take the credit, but they're real neat little banners. Preserve Services on Industrial Avenue, they helped us out with these little bags. And ladies, I know you're gonna like these bags. So I actually had a couple guys ask me, let me get one of those bags there. But they are full with pens and pencils. We have over 10,000 pencils. Wow. We're not done yet.
I need one right now.
Can I have a pencil?
We have so much stuff out there, it's in the back room, we just want to bring it all in here. We were doing fill the fire truck, and we brought it over on the bus today. So this is not it, there's a lot more, we have another Saturday to go, and we're still trying to raise our supplies for your students here in the city of Danville. Also, Danville City Credit Union gave us a cash donation to help us go buy some things. Of course, the residents and friends of the city of Danville, parents and teachers. I had a couple of teachers that dropped things in our basket for us last Saturday. So we're real excited about what we're doing. We would like to make it an annual contribution to the city of Danville to help our children out. We have some interesting book bags with that colorful Kleenex. I know you guys need a lot of Kleenex, and anybody want to donate. That's the big thing. You need Kleenex and things to keep little kids with little runny nose and that type thing to keep them going this year. We're looking for a very good year this year, good academic year, and safe for all of our kids and teachers and parents and whoever has a part of the school system. We want to be a part of it. We want to help you to make it good year. So thank you, and we will have more donations. I tell you, somebody said somebody's gonna miss a fire boot. This is my fire boot. I try not to wear them because I don't want to go anywhere fires. So I found a good use for it. The people in Danville will stuff money in these boots.
Sweet.
So we have a lot of money. We're looking forward to going shopping with these guys. Most of them don't like shopping, but we're gonna spend some money for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Next, we have public comments. There are 2 people who signed up to address the school board at this time.
The public comments agenda item offers an opportunity for the board to hear directly from Danville citizens on matters of school interest. The board's responsibility is to hear a speaker's item of interest, make any clarification necessary for board understanding, and then assign school staff to investigate and report back to the board. Individual presentations should be limited to 5 minutes or less.
Thank you. And first on the list is Reverend Cecil Bridgeforth.
Madam Chairperson, and to the constituents of the school board. I come under 3 hats. One as pastor of communities that need much help, as a retired special ed teacher, and as a citizen of the city, concerned about the students that fall through the cracks. I commend the school system of how they're helping those students, and there are many of them that are succeeding and very successful. But I'm concerned about those students that are falling through the cracks because of the distractions that exist in many classrooms. I'm now doing my ERIP, and I commend our superintendent. He is a very fast talker, and he deflated my concerns. But he is, as I have shared with every superintendent that have served since I've been in the system since 1977, every principal that I have raised concern with in reference to special ed. And that is, even though they do have an IEP, and I have written many of them, but many of those, some of them are not meeting the academic standards that have been prescribed by the state. And yet at the same time, they continue to move them on to the next grade level. And if you look at the crime reports, many of those young men had special needs. And they continue to pass them on. I suggest to the superintendent and to you that they be in a program that they can learn at a pace that will show them success. Right now, they're in a regular classroom, and you know the classroom teachers are driven by the SOLs, and it's a very fast pace. And many of them cannot keep up, and they fall behind in spite of the IEPs. I would be very much concerned if a program is designed, and our superintendent have assured me that there are programs in place to assist, but based on my experience, some of those students still fall behind, but yet they're passed on. It's injustice to our teachers, especially when it comes to the SOL testing, when the special need kids do not do well and school system do not get a good report, the fingers are pointed at the special ed students. We would do better if their scores were not counted. We would do better if they had done better. And that is being unfair to the special needs students, being unfair to the teachers, and being unfair to the city of Danville, as the city of Danville is still thriving, trying to bring in technology, jobs of high tech, but we do not have the workforce based on our school system. Our school system has to produce, and I know that we promote those who are very successful, but what about those that are falling through the cracks, that are not meeting the standards? It is unfair to the teachers, it's unfair to the students, unfair to the parent, unfair to the city itself. We are paying our teachers to teach, but they cannot teach if there are distractions that hinders them. You only have 90 minutes. If we're on a block schedule, you have 90 minutes. And they cannot afford to be distracted from doing what they love to do, and that is to teach. And if you take all of the minutes, I would suggest, this is me, if you take all of the minutes that the teachers deal with the distractions in the classroom, it'll be a total 2 months of wasted time that academics were not presented. I offered to the superintendent that this need to be dealt with immediately. When the distraction rise, remove it, put it in an environment. Of course, he challenged me, what about kindergarten and elementary? Well, I tell you, there's some kindergarten kids that are rough, you know. So we look to you for guidance. We look to you because you have our children in your charge. And the administrators and the teachers need to be able to be free to do what they love to do, but they cannot do it if their hands are tied. My concern tonight are the kids that fall through the cracks, not only the special ed, but the regular ed kids as well. Thank you for your time. Is that 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
I can't preach a sermon in 5 minutes. Thank you for
Thank you.
We know. We know.
Mr. Neal?
Good morning, good evening. My name is Jay Neal. I was a 5th grade teacher at Johnson Elementary for the last 10 years. And last week I sent you guys an email about why I wanted you to reconsider your decision to say, maybe not on the 3rd administrator. I just wanted to go over a few points from my email again and ask you to reconsider again, because I do think the third administrator would make a difference at Johnson, and I believe that the teachers at the school agree with me. Basically, the first point was Johnson is the size of the middle schools. And to me, that's just a math. It's the same. I believe last year we were bigger than Westwood. And so to me, that calls for 3 administrators. Maybe an administrator over the whole school, a K through 2, and a 3 through 5 or something like that. It's just sheer numbers. Right now, I think we're going to have about 600 kids. That's 300 per administrator. I think the more administrators can make relationships with kids, the better Johnson will be in the long run. If you've got more administrators, it's easier to make those relationships. The second reason was because at the HR meeting we had last year to discuss what kind of principal we wanted to replace our outgoing principal, Mr. McWilliams. The first thing that we mentioned was a third amendment. We didn't really care what we wanted. We just thought that our principals are overwhelmed. They're constantly in IEP meetings, state meetings. I wish Mr. Hubbard was here because when he came to visit Johnson last year, he was given a tour by the third principal because the other 2 principals were too busy. And that gets to my third point, which is this is experience. Last year, Mrs. Lassiter and Mr. Woody both were on their retirement, what's it called? It's not a retirement to know, the ERIP, but they both were there. The days they were there, we knew they were there. The teachers knew they were there. Made a big difference. If you could get either one of those 2 to go, that would be fantastic. I was impressed with both of them. And I thought that the kind of, just that kind of experience and maturity is something that kids looked up to a lot. I guess, grandmotherly and grandfatherly, so you treat them a little bit better. I don't know. I saw a difference, and I believe that some of the Johnson teachers that are here, Ms. Evans, right? You saw a difference too?
Correct, Mr. Neal.
Thank you. And for me, the fourth thing is probably the most important, and that is that since I've been at Johnson, Johnson's been a training ground for other schools. We get teachers for 2 or 3 years, they get good at it, and they go somewhere else. The biggest thing to make a difference at Johnson that I see is to stop that cycle. I'm not saying forever that Johnson's going to need a third administrator. I think with a new start, I was over there today, you could feel the energy. It was neat. It kind of made me jealous because I'm not coming back this year. But you could feel the energy there, and I think it would just, for maybe a year or 2, see how it works. Let the numbers rule. I mean, I think the bottom line is the numbers. Let the numbers, guide your decision, and follow up on it. Go over there, see how it's going. And I know the teachers at Johnson, it means a lot when we see you guys, visiting. And sometimes there's a feeling at Johnson that we're kind of the redheaded stepchild of Danville's elementary schools, and it's true. You talk to the teachers. I actually went to the school today and talked to some of the teachers and trying to get them to come, and they want a third administrator, but they don't think anybody's going to listen to them. And that was kind of distressing, and so I think, that's something we could all improve on, and I know y'all will do something about it, and I just appreciate your time and your consideration or reconsideration of this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who did not sign up ahead of time who wishes to speak now? Yes, ma'am?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Everyone, my name is Tammy Pennington, and I'm new here to Danville. I was raised in Detroit. I have 5 children. 4 of them are in your school systems. I'm up here because my son, when we first got here, I did a little research on the schools here, and I put my son in Bonner and my girls, they were in Forest Hills. Now, during the summer, when we found permanent, well, it's temporary, but permanent housing in low income right now, they changed their schooling due to that. Now, my son was in Bonner, but it was a concern to me because it's right next door, and they said they changed it because of where we live at. He has been struggling with ADHD. He was diagnosed when he was in 3rd grade, and he doesn't want his school to be switched to Westwood, and I just think that's an unhealthy change for my child. I came to the school to talk to the principal. He didn't have the forms for me to request that. I also came down to talk with Mrs. Petty, and no one was able to give me any information that I needed, but school will be starting next week, and we just got a paper in the mail stating that he will be going to Westwood a week ago. So he's not prepared for the change. I'm not prepared for the change, and I just think that that needs to be looked at, because I understand that y'all have school zones, but not all parents are concerned about the school and persistent about their child staying there. And that's one of my biggest concerns, because we actually moved from where we came from because there was not a lot of educational opportunities for my children. So I'm looking for certain type of schools for them to be in. But because of where we live there, we're kind of like, I don't know, judged by that. And I just think that, someone needs to look into that. And if a parent is persistent with their request for their child to stay where they are, I just, think they should be.
All right, thank you. Just make sure that Ms. Petty has your information, your contact information.
Okay.
And,
She does.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, we're actually investigating it.
okay. Mhm. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we're ready for communications and reports from the superintendent.
Yeah, the opening day, I'll be very brief, but opening day of school, I hope you're as excited as I am about next Wednesday. We'll start school bright and early next Wednesday. I just wanted the public to know, kind of give you an overview of my schedule for that day. You know that my routine is to try to get to all the schools, so I'm going to start at the two schools that open the earliest, and those are our two middle schools. And then from there, I'll head to Woodbury, Johnson, Park Avenue, then to Langston, Schoolfield, Forest Hills, and finally at George Washington, Galileo, and Gibson. So I'm excited about the first day. I know that at the end of the meeting, we'll make some additional comments about some folks that are volunteering, but glad to be here for a third year and very excited. I think we had a great convocation this past Monday, and students were the center of that, and I think that's the way we need to focus our attention going into this year.
And next, we will have our action items from Human Resources.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. The Department of Human Resources has prepared for your review and hopefully your approval 28 personnel actions for this evening. There was one set posted to Board Docs earlier and then another set today. If you did not have a chance to look at today's set, a physical copy is in your red folder. So if you want to take a moment or two to review that information, we can certainly do that. As you take a look, please know and remember that we don't always do an addendum, but at this time of year, as we're trying to get people on board for our children next Wednesday, we do ask that you consider the additional information for this evening. As you see on that addendum, we're bringing aboard 3 teachers that are sorely needed, so we would like for that to occur. Going back, excuse me, to the original document, in the middle of the page, you see 2 requests for resignation, and I'll note that because both of these persons did sign a contract for 17-18, our superintendent is recommending that tonight you deny the request to resign until a suitable replacement can be found and ready to begin work. Other than that, I'll point out the number of teachers we've brought aboard. The individual whose case number ends in 01 is actually returning to us. We are very excited about that. She was an excellent teacher when she was here before, and we welcome her back with open arms. Also, the young lady whose case number ends with 07 worked with us some time ago, and we are just beyond excited to have her. She's so multi-talented, and coming back to us now as a Title I instructional reading coach, and we're excited about that. So just as you take a look, please consider approving each of these, and with that, I will respectfully request your approval.
Dr. Jennings, I just have two. I have both of them loaded in Word docs. Is there another one that was supposed to be in the red folder, or are they both in?
Yes, the
Word?
one, did you have the addendum on Word docs?
Yes.
Yes.
through
Okay,
number
so
20.
that's what I was
There's
talking
not
about.
one in red folder. Thank you.
No, I was saying that we had hoped to put the addendum in red folder in case you didn't get it on Word docs.
Okay, thank you.
If that didn't happen, please forgive me.
Any more questions? This is an action item.
Madam Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Campbell, seconded by Ms. Hall, that we approve the personnel recommendations as presented. Any discussion?
Does that wording imply the recommended denial until replacements are on board?
Yes, I believe it
Okay.
does. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Dr. Paul Hamas?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes. Thank you. Next, under action items from the superintendent, the triennial school safety audit committee recommendations.
Dr. Cochran will be presenting.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
By state mandate, the division superintendent shall establish a school safety audit committee to include as available representatives of parents, teachers, local law enforcement, emergency services agencies, local community service boards, and judicial and public safety personnel. The School Safety Audit Committee shall review the completed school safety audits and submit any plans as needed for improving school safety to the division superintendent for submission to the local school board. This safety audit work was completed earlier this summer. It has been reviewed by our School Safety Audit Committee, and as designee for this review, I have provided you with the School Safety Audit Committee's proposals, and I respectfully request your approval of their review and proposed recommendations. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the process.
Any questions? Somebody-
If
yes,
I
Dr.
may.
Williams.
Dr. Cochran, reading through this report, it's clear to me that these individuals have taken it quite seriously and have really uncovered several things that need quick attention. And I want to support that in every way possible. Has there been any consideration given in the central offices here to how we can work these things into the existing budget, or at least build them into the next budget?
Yes, sir. If you remember, this is a triennial process, and 3 years ago, we brought you the same type of document. We began immediately. Some things can be done in-house. Some things can be done by the schools. Some things we did with state security equipment grant funds, and we've already applied for those. So some of that would be with grant money. Other things, it's just a matter of us having a plan so that we know what to focus our energies on. And so this process helps us to uncover those things that perhaps would make us safe over this 3-year period. But we definitely try to triage the significance of the various recommendations and move on them judiciously.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions? This is an action item.
Madam Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Campbell and seconded by Dr. Pahamas that the Triennial School Safety Audit Committee recommendations be accepted. No discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Dr. Pahamas?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes. Dr. Cochran, the annual review of the crisis plan?
Thank you. Local school boards are required by the Code of Virginia to annually review the written school crisis, emergency management, and medical emergency response plans of each school in the division. Our school level, our division level crisis plan with standard response protocols gives all school stakeholders access to the crisis plan for all schools except specific vulnerabilities, assessment components as prescribed by the code. Further, we purchase and maintain this app, and it's available not only for employees, but also for the general public. It's a free app, and it has those elements of the crisis plan that can be reviewed by the public in general. So we have, as a mobile app, our crisis plan, and this more than satisfies the requirements of the state code. Instructions for downloading the free mobile app are available on the DPS website. As designee for this review, I provided you with a table showing each item in the certification process. I respectfully recommend your approval of the annual review.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Cochran? This is also an action item.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the annual review of the crisis plan.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Hall and seconded by Dr. Campbell that we approve the annual review of the crisis plan. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Dr. Pahamas?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer, do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments.
Dr. Jones?
Just a handful. First, I certainly want to thank Fire Marshal Irving for the supplies for our students. We're excited. I hope that this can indeed become an annual event. So we're very appreciative of the partnership we have with our first responders. Secondly, I just want to mention that we do have a number of volunteers that will be greeting students on the first day of school, including our city council officials, as well as members of the clergy. We'll provide some additional information to the board on how exactly we'll do that. But we're excited that, again, excited that we're going to have our first day, but even more excited that there is some enthusiasm in our community about ensuring that we set the tone the first day. And we have a number of members of our community who are going to step up and be a part of that. So we certainly appreciate that. Also want to thank Reverend Bridgeforth for his comments. I did not mean to deflate whatever he was going to say. Certainly never intend to do that, but I did encourage him to reach out to me and our staff so we can talk in detail about what his concerns are. So, as well as the parent that spoke this evening, she did contact our office early, and we plan to work with her to try to address her concern. Other than that, get some rest. Next week's going to be extremely busy, and by Friday we're going to be tired. So get some rest. Thank you for everything you've done to prepare for this year. There is a certain level, what I would call just a different feel in terms of the enthusiasm in our community about another grand opening. So I want to thank our staff, want to thank the board for their support. Certainly want to thank our city officials for their support, as well as our partners.
Dr. Campbell?
I want to say to Dr. Jones, it was a wonderful convocation.
Thank you.
And I received a lot of emails that so many said that it was the best. I don't know if it's because of the time frame or because of what happened in the convocation with all of the kids being involved, but that's what I heard, and I totally concur with them. He mentioned about the first day of school, and me and city councilman, also chief of police, told me that there will be policemen at every school, and it's basically just to welcome the kids back to school and wanting them to have a wonderful school year. And so we look forward to that. And for those of you that were presented in reference to Johnson, I think we will be revisiting that issue in the work session. So thank you for your concern, for coming tonight. That's what it's about. To everyone, let's have a wonderful school year, and we look forward to working with you. I can truly tell you that there's not one board member that's not concerned about the safety and the educational opportunities for our children. So I concur with Dr. Jones. Let's get busy and do what needs to be done for a wonderful school year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Gold?
I want to echo Dr. Campbell's sentiments. Particularly want to thank the fire department and our fire marshal for organizing such a wonderful drive for school supplies. And I know many other organizations in town have been involved with similar efforts, and we're so thankful and so grateful. One particular highlight tonight with just the supplies that have been brought to us. I don't know if that's a binder or a notebook, but there's a puppy that's staring at me for the last half hour, and it's adorable. So it's a real highlight for tonight. So I usually just have the door to look at, and I have a puppy. I think what Dr. Jones said about the enthusiasm and excitement for this school year, I think that's absolutely the case, and hopefully it really will be contagious. And I think we all feel like our community is at a point where we're just really ready to take off, and the future is bright, and it's going to take all of us pulling in the same direction, but we're going to get there. And thank you, as always, to all the members of the community who come and speak with us during the public comment section, to everyone who sends emails and provides us with your thoughts outside of meetings. We're always grateful for the feedback that we get, and that's all I have.
Ms. Stones?
First, again, echoing what my colleagues have already said, thanking Fire Marshal Irving and the Danville Fire Department for the donations that they contributed and their tenacity to get the supplies. I was not able to attend convocation, and I do apologize, but I had previous work engagement. But I did get some emails, and one email that came to me, she is a teacher at Johnson, and what she said was she didn't know, she was really excited about the band, I guess. And she said she didn't know whether to sit down and dance or get up and dance. So I don't know what was going on there, but she wanted to dance. And again, August 9th is opening day for schools, and I think everybody's excited, and I'd just like to welcome all the staff back. Thank you.
Dr. Paul Hamus?
Thank you. I want to echo my colleagues' previous comments, and I want to add my condolences to Councilman Lee Vogler on the death of his grandmother. I knew his grandmother as the wife of one of my bosses at the college, and I know that she was a huge influence on Lee throughout his life, and a great supporter of Lee and everything that he did. So he's going to miss her greatly, and we express our condolences. As far as the convocation, in addition to the things that have already been mentioned, I want to throw out some special thanks to Coretta Lipscomb. When she got up on the stage and started explaining all the positive changes in the new health plan for our employees, it was just outstanding. And to hear the whispered comments behind me as people said, Oh, we got that? It was great. So please thank Coretta for us. She did a fine job with that, made us look good in approving that plan. I was fortunate to be at National Night Out on the city bus that took me and a bunch of council members and Shelby Irving and some other firemen and some police officers all around to about half of the different communities that had National Night Out within the city. It was a wonderful evening, and we got to meet and greet with hundreds of folks, and the excitement about things happening in Danville and the excitement about school starting next week, at least among the adults, it was palpable. And so I was so glad to be part of that evening. Thanks certainly to Shelby Irving and the fire department for their great work. Like Stephen, I've been looking at that puppy.
Cute.
And to Mr. Neal and those who have come from Johnson specifically this evening, I think you might want to hang around for the work session. I believe some things are going to happen. And for Reverend Bridgeforth and his comments about special needs students, I know that approach that he has in mind is not his alone. There are many teachers who feel the same way. And I trust that the administration will listen carefully to those veteran teachers and find some ways to help alleviate some of the difficulties that many of our teachers, if not most of our teachers, encounter in the classrooms that might hinder the educational process. So I trust everyone's going to have a great opening of the new school year, and I trust that you will stay in communication with us to make sure we know how we can best help you do the job that we know you can do. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall?
I want to concur with my colleagues' comments, in particular thanking Fire Marshal Shelby Irvin and the firefighters for all their efforts on behalf of the school children, and those that partnered with them, and they named so many, I don't know that I wrote them all down, but Walmart, Kmart, and all those that they've mentioned. And I also want to thank Mr. Neal for your comments. Those mean a great deal to us when we hear firsthand information, and your input is very helpful. So we appreciate that, Ms. Pennington, and also Reverend Bridgeforth for their comments. I also want to speak a bit about, I had the pleasure of attending convocation with Dr. Paul Hamus and Dr. Campbell, and I just have to say, it was just a wonderful morning. I have to say that I'm so appreciative of the staff with the instruction, from the instruction department, Dr. Andrews, and your leadership on that. I know that you probably carried out Dr. Jones's vision, because I've heard him say numerous times, convocation should be uplifting and it should be about children. And it was absolutely about children. I mean, the drum roll, the drummers, the chorus that sang, the children that were involved was so sweet, you know, and I would love to see the motto that you used, if you want to call it that, "Do you believe in me?" When those children stood up there on that stage and said, "Do you believe in me?" and the resounding response from the audience was just heartwarming. So thank you all for what you did to execute that and bring that about. It was wonderful. And then also to thank, well, not thank, but to welcome back our teachers. We look forward to a great year. Thank you.
Ms. Hughes?
I think everything's been said. I echo all of my colleagues' comments. I'm sorry I was not able to make it to convocation. I was able to make it to new teacher orientation to welcome the new teachers, and I did appreciate being able to go and greet some of them, and so they could see my face and everything. I sometimes work gets in the way of things, but I am always thinking of, and my heart goes out to everyone who is in the schools, even if you don't see my face. Thank the people of the fire department. I think it's incredible that they put their lives on the line every day in the job that they do, but they also are willing and committed to this community and the children of this community to even do this in their spare time, their off time. I appreciate that. And in the same vein, Mr. Neal, I know you didn't have to come back and say anything because you said you didn't have to, you're not coming back. But because you have that commitment to your fellow teachers and the children, thank you. That's all.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Please call the roll.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Dr. Paul Amos?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
How long?